Shalom. Giving all praise, honor, and glory to Heavenly Father's only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to our apostles, elders, great millstone for teaching us His truth, according to the Bible and rule well. I know Shalom, not a sincere argument throughout the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth through diligence and sincerity and in charity and El Shalom. To all you sincere followers, believers of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, not just hearers of the word, but doers as well, you men, women, and children, hopefully like Shalom. I was doing some reading and came across a story again of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace. And when you read these stories, it just it reminds you of the importance of trust, fear, and having faith in our power. As so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, Hebrew Israelites, according to the Bible, things are written 4 times written for our learning. And the times that we're coming in, all right, these are going to be events and things that happen all over again. All right, Revelation 12 tells you that the devil shall come down having great wrath because he knoweth that he have but a short time. And, Esau, Edom, and self-proclaimed so-called white man is the deceiver. He's the physical counterpart on the earth, all right, of Satan. And, he's going to be doing all types of things, man. And we got to continue to put our trust, our confidence, our faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So we're going to read some of this account and, get straight to it. And Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. I'm not quite sure I'm going to title lesson. But this is the book of Daniel, chapter 8, Slakia, chapter 3. And I'm going to start at 8. Matter of fact, I'm going to start at the top at 1, and then I'm going to jump down. It says, Daniel 3:1, Nebuchadnezzar, the king, made an image of gold whose height was 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar, the king, sent to gather together the princes, the governors, and the captains, and the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all rulers of the province to come to the dedication of the image which the king had set up. I'm going to jump down. Verse 6 says, and whoso falleth not down and worship this shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. All right. Jumping down, verse 8, it says, wherefore at the time certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man should hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worship, that should be cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Now, when you want to apply it to these times, all right, that image, okay, that Esau's going to get our people to bow down to is his new way, his new NWO, which comes with a chip. All right. What's the guy's name, man? The director that did that movie with Eddie Murphy, Trading Places, I believe it was. I can't remember his name, but he was real cool with one of the Rockefellers, and the Rockefellers told him that they want everybody to be C-hip, all right, to be chipped. That's the MOTB, written about in Revelation 13th chapter, all right. And if you don't have that, you're gonna be considered worse than the worst, man. All right, because the whole C-19 was a trial practice run for what they're getting ready to do now. And you see how the division it brought between families. Okay, considered outcast, and actually you're gonna be put. Some brothers and sisters are gonna be put in these C camps. All right, thrown in prison, thrown in jail, all because we're not bowing down. But guess what? We have accounts, as we're reading here now, of what happened when you trust in the Lord, when you fear the Lord, when you have faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Daniel 3 and 12, it says, I'm sorry, 10. It says, Thou, O king, has made thee a decree that every man should hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worship that which shall be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. That it says, There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? Because they were set over the affairs, through through Daniel's request. All right. It says, These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. So they said, Go get these guys. They're not bowing down before my image. Okay, go round them up. Verse 14 says, Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now if ye be ready, that at the time when ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. Right? The hands of man. Well, it says, Well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. And who is that power? Who is that God, right, that shall deliver you out of my hands? Verse 16, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. Verse 17, if it be so, Lord willing, right? Abaratazah, our Father, our power, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thy hand, O king. So Lord will. Right? Verse 18, but if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. And why were they talking like this? Because the Lord has strict commandments on what we're supposed to do while we're on the earth. And here's the first one. This is Exodus chapter 20, verse 3. It says, Thou shalt have no gods before me. Right? That's plain. And Nebuchadnezzar had created what? A god, an image. Matter of fact, let's read verse 4, Exodus 20 and 4. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Verse 5. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them. And isn't that what Nebuchadnezzar wanted everyone to do once they heard the music playing, those different instruments? They're supposed to bow down and worship, right? But we have the true and living power, right? And we're not to bow down to these gods, man. Exodus 20 and 4, it says, Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. It's like in verse 5. It says, Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me. Was love keeping the commandments and keep my commandments. You see? So the Lord is a jealous power. He's jealous over his people, over his woman, because Israel is the Lord's woman. Right? Don't you get jealous when you see a woman, checking out another man? Right? Flirting with another guy? You don't want none of that. That's how the Lord looks at us, man. So Rick, going back to Daniel chapter 3 and verse 18 says, but if not, be it known regardless. So, what they're saying is, if the Lord deliver us, the Lord don't deliver us, let it be known we are not going to serve your gods. Right? That's the spirit you have to be in. Verse 19, then Nebuchadnezzar, full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, because he was cool with him. Right? But he said, nah, he said, F that. It says, therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more, a complete amount, than it was wont to be heated. So he was already set at a certain temperature, but he wanted to be even more hotter, right? He wanted to disintegrate Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Verse 20, it says, and he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound with their coats, their hosen and hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Verse 22, therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, the furnace exceedingly hot, the flame of the fire slew the men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down, bound in the midst of the burning fiery furnace. All right, so they were thrown in. It was so hot that the men that tossed them in there died. Verse 24, then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished and rose up in haste and spake and said unto his counselors, did we not cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, true, O king. He answered and said, lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire. Put this in mind. The men that was carrying Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego perished, and they wasn't even thrown in the fire. And here it is, they've been thrown into the fiery furnace, and there was another person in there with them. Let's keep reading. It says, verse 25, he answered and said, lo, I see 4 men loose walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And the form of the 4th is like the son of Yahweh. Yahushua was in that furnace with him, man. Okay? He was manipulating the elements so that they wasn't even being touched. It makes me think about matter of fact, Daniel chapter 12. Let's get that real quick. Because the times we living in, a standard will be set up for the elect. This is Daniel chapter 12, verse 1. And at that time shall Michael the archangel stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, the Israelites, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as was never since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. Right, the elect. So the elect is going to have a standard lifted up for them, man. Just like Yahweh Shai was a standard for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, all right, the Lord's going to have Michael stand up for the elect. Once again, Romans 15:4, the things are written 4 times, written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope, man. Because if you putting your hope in anything outside of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, through this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, you are finished. Okay? So I just wanted to, touch on that. And, I hope that this lesson was, comforting to the elect. Because that's, one of the major reasons why we do these lessons for us, to comfort the elect. Comfort the Lord's people with these words, as well as ourselves, man. So, Lord willing, that's edifying. Until next time I say, Shalom.